Welcome into Countdown to Game Time. I'm Alex Walker alongside Dave Baker. And Dave, we're officially at the halfway point, a little past the halfway point.
Yes, we are, right?
Of the college basketball regular season, which is pretty wild. Kentucky is 13-3. They lost to Alabama, of course, to open SEC play.
Right.
They've now won 3 in a row in the SEC. Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, that impressive road win over Georgia. Where do you think this team stands 4 games into that conference schedule?
Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because this is going to tell what's going on. This is the first time since the end of the 05-06 regular season that they've played 3 straight ranked teams in a week. So you've got Auburn tomorrow. You've got Mississippi State that's 22, I think, at least right now, on Tuesday night here. And then you've got Kansas, who is 7 right now, here on Saturday. So you're going to have a good idea about where this team is after this stretch.
It seems like as this season has gone along, when UK's playing at its peak, we saw a little glimpse of that at Georgia, this team, how collectively strong they can be as a unit. It seems like guys outside of Keldon Johnson have been stepping up. Ashton Hagans has been the story of this team the last week and a half or so. You see guys like EJ stepping up. Nick's finally getting that run with Reed Travis struggling. What do you see with some of those other guys stepping up with this Kentucky team?
Well, you know, that's a Calipari model. Did you know that Anthony Davis took like the 4th or 5th most shots on that championship team? I mean, I didn't know if you were aware of that or not. But, I mean, for Kentucky to go down and dominate the way that they did at Georgia and for Keldon Johnson not to score, that's why Cal keeps preaching. And he's talked about the clutter this year and all that stuff, but he says points don't matter and people laugh at him and everything. But, I mean, he's right. I mean, at least in his system. And you also saw Nick Richards step up and play really well. And so who will it be over the next week or so? They're going to have to find somebody to do that tomorrow, and they're going to have to find somebody to, try to lock it down defensively because this is an entirely different offensive attack that Auburn has than what they've seen to this point.
And we know who's going to step up for Auburn. Bryce Brown is their star. He had 18 points last year when Kentucky lost to Auburn at their place. And Kentucky has lost 2 straight in that building at Auburn. What about that place makes it so difficult to play?
It's just weird. I mean, it's a weird place. They built it several years ago, back when Tony Barbee was the coach there. It's one of those places that's got the cameras on the opposite sides of the gym. Capacity is only, I think it's 9,150 or something like that. And so this is the first of 4 or 5 straight Saturday sellouts. It's really interesting, though, because I tell people this all the time about how basketball is different down in the South. I was on the website just a few minutes ago, and this is a huge game, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing on the Auburn website about the game tomorrow.
Really?
Yet.
It's a little bit surprising.
I mean, it's a 4 o'clock Eastern game. It's 3 o'clock Central, right?
Well, it is a big game. And John Calipari spoke to the media today about how much Auburn loves to shoot the 3 ball.
Right.
They're going to shoot a lot of them. And here's John Calipari on the Tigers and how much they like to shoot the rock from behind the arc.
They're going to shoot 35 of them. And if you really guard them and really guard the 3, they're going to shoot 35 of them. And they do it off the bounce. They do it off the catch. They do it in transition. They do it in pick and rolls. But they also got Wiley, who's a heck of a post player, and they're very active, rebounding the ball. They're a really good team. They're really good.
That they are. Bryce Brown's a stud. Austin Wiley is a stud. They have a couple NBA prospects as well, much like Kentucky. And a couple things we're going to throw out to you here. A win for Kentucky would mean a handful of things, of course. A 4th straight SEC win, Kentucky's 3rd road win of the season. And get this, there haven't been a lot of chances, but Kentucky has not beaten a top 15 SEC team on the road since they beat Tennessee in 2006. So what does that say about how tough it is to win on the road when SEC is at this level?
And so 2006.
Since 2006.
Tennessee would have been when Bruce Pearl was at Tennessee.
That's right. How about that?
Yeah. So, right. It's an example of just how much better the league is now, and the opportunity is there to do that. But by the same token, I mean, we saw those scores last time. I mean, everybody has talked about what Kermit Davis has done down at Ole Miss. I mean, my goodness, look at what they've done. And so it's not easy, and it's very difficult. It shouldn't be all that difficult. But when we talk about these incredibly talented players being kids, they still are kids, and it's incredibly difficult to figure out. Now, Kentucky's task tomorrow, I don't think it's more manageable. Worst thing in the world, and you've been around athletes and everything too, is to go to a hotel. If you're there at the Comfort Inn or whatever it is, there in Auburn, Alabama, or the Auburn Inn, which is right across the street, and you're laying around the hotel all day until an 8 or 9 o'clock game. 4 o'clock game's not so bad. You get up, you get going, you get your shoot around in, you get out of town, you get back. And so, it'll be interesting to see if that happens. But kids have to get used to taking care of their own business on the road.
Yep. And so far we've seen, they played well at Alabama, but their second road game in the SEC at Georgia, they played really well. It got kind of a tough first half, but they came out guns blazing in the second half, took care of the Bulldogs to get to 3-1 in the SEC. At Auburn, John Calipari talks about how this is always a process. It's a process of getting his guys to play together. Certain guys need to step up. Don't think of yourself, think of the team. Here's what Cal had to say about that process continuing here at Auburn on Saturday.
This is a work in progress. It really is. And trying to get guys to conquer themselves first. You can't feel pressed about your performance. You got to lose yourself in the team. What does the team need you to do has got to come before what you're trying to do or what you think you need to do. And that's going to be an ongoing thing. We'll all know. You'll be able to see it when you say they've blended, man. They're engaged with each other. And they're doing it for 40 minutes. We're not there yet.
Of course, they're not there yet. They could be. We'll see in the very next couple of weeks. 4 o'clock tip-off, as Dave mentioned, on ESPN at Auburn Arena. It's a top 15 showdown. We'll, of course, have the highlights and the reaction at 6 on KYT and 11 on WKYT. Game time will full wrap-up. Real quick, do you think Kentucky plays as well as it does on the road at Georgia and kind of continues that play? Auburn is so talented, though.
Here's the thing about it. At Georgia, again, it was a third straight game where they had fallen behind early. You can't afford to do that tomorrow. And I don't know what you have to do to do that. You just can't. What did Cal say? You do that against some people and it's 5 dunks or something, whatever his comment was. You can't afford to do that tomorrow. I like it when you see swaggy Cal. That wasn't swaggy Cal today. That was calculating Cal. I mean, he and Bruce Pearl, they go back to when Pearl was at Tennessee and Cal was at Memphis, and I mean, they had some battles. There's a lot of history between these two guys. And so it'll be interesting to see with everything that's happened with that Auburn program over the last year or so, okay? You've got Chuck Person's trial that's scheduled to start, I think, next month, I think. And you've had everything that they had to navigate. Purifoy and Wiley had to sit out last year, I think it was. Everything that Bruce Pearl has had to do, this coming after he came back from a show cause order. And so this is a chance, I'm sure they're looking at this as a chance to kind of reintroduce themselves to the country and show just how rabid all these Auburn fans are and everything. And that's going to be a tough environment for these young Kentucky kids. So I think Cal is as good as there is about trying to manage expectations and then hit the right buttons with his kids. The question is, can they execute? Biggest thing is not, can they score? We know they can do that. We know that Ashton Hagans can guard. Can they get to people? These guys are as good as there are maybe in the country at terms of catching and shooting, and they can do it from a lot of different positions outside the arc.
I don't think we see a slow start from Kentucky tomorrow. It's kind of their first SEC game that's like, oh, there's a lot of hype here. Top 15 showdown. These kids are going to get up. Georgia, Vanderbilt, look, you got to win the game, but at the same time, for these kids, they might not get as up, especially being at home with it being Auburn on the road, ESPN. I think the kids get up early. And
I'll tell you another thing, too, is that those fans are close enough down there. I mean, you hear everything that's being said to you. People, we saw what the Tennessee guys did when they did the Gator Chomp at the end of the Florida game because they said those fans were on them. The fans from Auburn are even closer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is the cozy confines.
We'll certainly see how much Kentucky has matured and see if they can play well on the road.
It'll be a good test, absolutely.
It'll be a lot of fun. Switching now to the UK ladies. They just had a massive road win on Thursday night. Matthew Mitchell and Kentucky, they have a gutsy win at LSU to improve to 16-3, 3-2 in the SEC. They have now won back-to-back games in Baton Rouge for the first time since 1993.
Right.
In 1995, they did not have Ryan Howard. They did not have Taylor Murray. Macy Morris back from injury, and they still win by 4 at LSU. That's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive after what had to be a disappointment when they came back home after that huge win at Tennessee, and they lose on Sunday against Ole Miss,
in a frustrating loss.
An Ole Miss team that had not been very good this year. And of course, they do that, and Macy Morris had to sit out with that knee pain, and Murray was able to play, but not very much. So credit Matthew Mitchell once again. I mean, he's putting a lot of different pieces together. I mean, kids that are taking big shots last night that didn't have to. Kiki McKinney scored the last 4 points. I mean, look at what she's done. I mean, it's really been nice to see.
Kiki had the game-winning three towards the end of that game to seal the victory in Baton Rouge. Here is Matthew Mitchell on that big win to get the 16-3, 3-2 in the conference.
What a tough game it always is here in Baton Rouge. Nikki's a tough coach and always has her team prepared and ready to go. And I was really proud of our team for coming out with great energy and focus and getting a big lead to start the game. But I thought LSU showed great heart and toughness by answering, and then it just became a really tough back and forth game. And just extremely proud we found a way to win.
A lot of toughness, a lot of grit. Without some of your star players, Kentucky finds a way to win on the road to kind of bounce back from that disappointment against Ole Miss. And Kentucky does not play another game until next Thursday against Missouri. How nice is that for Matthew Mitchell to get some of his injured players, give them time to heal, give them time to get back on track and focus. And so, Kentucky, Missouri. It's a 6:30 tip at Memorial Coliseum 1 week from yesterday. So, big news tonight in the NBA as well.
Come on.
Boogie Cousins.
Come on.
He's back against the Clippers. Not like the Warriors need any help, but you saw Boogie play a lot here, and you saw him dominate in the NBA. He's had his problems injury-wise. He's back for the Warriors. How do you fit in to a team that's just already bulldozing the rest of the league?
Well, they haven't been bulldozing people this year like they have in the past. Now, they're still clearly, I think, the class of that league. But, you've had Steph Curry out with injury and everything like that. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins is a transformational kind of player. There's never been a question about how good he is. There's never been a question about what he can do for people. But you know what? The only question has been about how he can channel that emotion. I've never thought it's as big a problem as some people say it is. I've always said that, I'd rather have a guy that I'd have to pull back a little bit than one I'd have to kick in the tail to jumpstart.
Yep.
And Cuz was he was unbelievable guy when he was here at Lexington and when he comes back and everything. And so we've never seen that bad Cuz that has a tendency to show up on a bench in the NBA. But, he obviously reached out to Golden State when this injury happened and everything, and he wanted and wants to prove himself. And so I think from a behavior standpoint, he's going to be great, and I think he's going to do everything he can to fit in, and I think he's only going to make this team even more formidable. A
lot of leaders in that team. It'll be fun to see what he can do, what he can add to that already dynamic Golden State Warriors team. Quick stat for you. I saw this the other day on Twitter. It's pretty neat. Kyle Tucker at The Athletic.
Yep.
He's the one that kind of did the calculations here. This is pretty neat. Over 100 25-point games this season alone from former Cats.
Right.
That's nuts.
Right.
Devin Booker has 17 of those. I went and saw him play the Pacers on Tuesday.
You were up there, right?
But the fact that there are that many performances from guys across the board, over a dozen former Cats excelling in the NBA, that's got to be fun for Big Blue Nation to finally watch those guys excel in the NBA.
And again, I know some people don't really embrace the one and done, maybe like.
Why not?
But these are all Cal guys, right? I don't think anybody's still playing that was not a Cal guy, right?
I don't think so.
We're getting a little up there, but not you, but anyway. Oh, and there's football here on KYT on Sunday.
There are. We have a huge game on KYT, the AFC Championship game. It's a 6:30 start. The Chiefs against the Patriots. You have. It's not a David versus Goliath. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, the number one seed. But in terms of history, it kind of is. I know New England's visiting Kansas City. This will be a huge winter storm over that area.
Right.
This is going to be fun to watch. I love Showtime Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes. He's been incredible. I like points. I hope hopefully it's games like 52-45, back and forth. It should be a show right here on KYT.
And again, 41 years old, and for Brady to continue to do the stuff that he does, and in games like this. It just seems like Belichick over the years has had that magic touch, and that Andy Reid has been kind of snake bitten. It'd be interesting to see what happens there, and of course that'll tee us up for the Super Bowl 2 weeks from Sunday right here on KYT.
That is correct. Chiefs Patriots, we got Rams Saints in the NFC Championship game. We'll have the action coming up this weekend on WKYT. Quick reminder, if you don't catch us here on Facebook Live, you can always watch us on WKYT Podcast. You can subscribe. We got some sports podcasts.
Do you get a watch? Can you just listen without watching? Some people, you're a good-looking young guy, but some people may just prefer to listen to me than look at me.
That's a face for radio.
Right, absolutely.
That's all right. Well, look, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
Had a good time. Kentucky Auburn 4 o'clock on Saturday, ESPN. The chance for Kentucky to make a statement on the road at Auburn. Thanks for watching us on Countdown to Game Time.